We're going to dive into a big topic today. I want to talk about abuse and what role we play in our own abuse. This is, like I said, a bit of a big topic, and it's also a bit of a taboo one in a way, meaning that it can feel a bit edgy for me to talk about and for people to hear. So first of all, hi, my name is Mariah, and this is my channel, Kaladara Creations. Anywho, let's dive into the video. Why do we experience abuse? That's such a big question, and it can have so many nuanced answers. Of course, it's become quite well known now that we are beings that repeat patterns. There's patterns that we learn in our childhood, and we tend to carry them throughout our adulthood and repeat. So I'm sure this is not new news to you. You probably have some sort of understanding of this. And side note, I want to say that abuse has a wide spectrum. It can range all the way from physical abuse to mental abuse, where there's manipulation, lying, betrayal. All these things can fall into the category of abuse. So as I mentioned, these abuse dynamics are typically patterns that stem from our childhood. When we become an adult, we repeat them in an unconscious way, yet there is still a part of us that is choosing the abuse. In ways, it's really nice to see that it's become more popular for people to reflect on their past and to recognize where their patterns stem from. That can be very helpful, but I feel like we've gotten so caught up in this loop of recognizing where things come from and then just staying in it. And I really, truly believe that to break out of this loop, to break out of the patterns, we need to take personal responsibility and to truly recognize where we are choosing, where we are showing up and choosing to perpetuate these cycles. And it's not always easy to actually face these parts of ourselves, to really recognize that these patterns that we don't like, that we in a way do like them, that some part of us wants them, and that some part of us is choosing them because they exist. And the very fact that they exist and that they're being perpetuated, I feel is evidence that a part of us does want it to happen. And this is where the topic becomes a little bit delicate, because I do not at all want to sit here and victim blame and blame people for their circumstances. That's not what this is. I understand that certain situations in our life happen where we don't necessarily have a direct choice. Say some intense abuse happened as a child and you really didn't have a say or a choice in it. Like, I'm not at all blaming that part of you. I feel like it's so important to both be able to hold that part of ourselves that experienced abuse and not push away the feelings and the intensity and the sadness, and to not invalidate it, to acknowledge it, yet to also realize that we are not in that same space. And that version has dissipated and only remains here because we hold it tightly because we're afraid to let it go. We perpetuate dynamics through our patterns that we repeat again and again. So there's certain imprints that abuse has left within our system, and we maintain it. You can think about like a clenching around it, like we constrict around this abuse. And in a way, it's like a protective mechanism to grasp around it, to, hold it tight. Yet doing this maintains it and brings it with you into your next chapter, and you're not really in another chapter because you're repeating the same chapter. And with these patterns that stem from abuse, we maintain the identity of the one who is abused. And this identity is one that feels powerless, one that feels like it has no control, like it is a victim. And it is this victim mentality that is maintained and carried with us throughout our lives, and it keeps us stunted. So then how do you break out of this cycle that has been with you for so long? And like I mentioned before, I really do believe radical responsibility is how we step out of these patterns, where you start to disidentify with this past version, this victim, and you start to step into a whole new energy, recognizing that you have the power to choose. And to actually step into this more empowered view, you need to really reflect and recognize the spaces where you are giving your power away, where you're choosing dynamics that aren't serving you, but also in many ways choosing dynamics that are abusive. And I'll speak from personal experience, where I have found myself in many romantic relationships that have been mentally abusive, that have been manipulative, that have really not been honest. I've experienced a lot of betrayal, a lot of issues around trust, and these dynamics were just not healthy for me through and through. Yet a part of me clung so tightly to them. And even though it was so chaotic and intense, intense. I feel that a part of me was addicted to the abuse. And I feel like this can be really uncomfortable to be honest with ourselves about. Like, maybe I am addicted to this abuse, addicted to the highs and the lows. And as with any addiction, the first step is admitting to the addiction. And I feel like some addictions, like alcohol addiction, drug addiction, like these can be very on the surface, like, okay, this is addiction. But we don't really talk much about being addicted to abuse. I really do feel like it is a very common addiction. And step one is to really acknowledge it. And it's not easy, because to acknowledge it is when the identity of being a victim starts to peel back a little bit. And peeling back from anything that is so deeply ingrained, any identity that we have held for so long, is uncomfortable. When you start to peel back and be like, wow, I might be a bit addicted to this. Wow, I'm choosing this. It can be uncomfortable because that takes a lot of responsibility. With this realization, you start to see that there is a way out, yet you also have to face the part of yourself that has been keeping you locked up in this dynamic. And wow, it is not easy. Like I said, I will speak from personal experience. I've been through it in relationships, and to break certain cycles has been fucking intense. So like, as I'm speaking to this now, I'm not speaking to it lightly. I'm not saying like, just one step, do it, just leave him, even though it is simple in a way, yet it isn't simple. So I just want to acknowledge the simplicity, yet also the complexity of it, because when you're deep in it, there's so much entangled and so many emotions. And I remember having moments of like laying in my bed, bawling my eyes out and thinking, wow, this pattern has been in my family line for so fucking long. I can feel it. Like, I can feel how entangled I am, how hard it is for me to unlatch. Like, it's just ingrained. And really, in a way, that is what it is. It's a pattern that's just been repeated. So the more it's repeated, the more entangled we become, because the path has been carved for so long. And if you think about it, when a path has been carved for so long, it's almost like it's dug deep, and you got to kind of like pull yourself out of the depths of this path and then jump over the sledge that's been created. And it's not easy. So just want to say that I really do understand the intensity of it, but also it's way more intense to just stay in these cycles, to keep repeating these abusive dynamics. It takes so much for someone to really put their foot down and be like, no more, because you have to stay strong within your center. You have to be very strong. And stepping into that strength is stepping into an incredibly empowered space. You have to be empowered. Like, you have to literally conjure up a new energy, conjure up a new version of you, one that is empowered in order to stop the abuse. You have to stand in it and stand strong, even when a part of you is being pulled to go back. You know, you leave one abusive relationship and another one comes around and you want to fall into it. The temptation is there, but you need to stay strong in it. And it's no easy task. It takes so much strength, but with that strength comes true empowerment. And true empowerment is what unlocks that child that feels trapped, that feels powerless. That's how you give her the key, is to stand in that strength and to stand in that empowered space and to really, really choose different. Because yes, perhaps that child experienced abuse that she really didn't have a choice in, that she really didn't have a say in, but now you do. And if you truly want to do inner child work, it really is about giving her a voice, giving her a choice. So with this, it's the balance of learning how to hold paradox and recognizing that yes, perhaps this person that you're engaging with is showing up in abusive ways. To see the truth of the situation, to not get caught in potential, but also to not place blame on this person, to put your life in this person's hands, because that's how you stay powerless. To really move from an empowered space, you must recognize, I am choosing this. Yes, this is happening, and I am choosing this. I can choose different. I can choose different. I can choose different. Taking your power back. And this is a continual practice I do in my life with everything. I really recognize how I am choosing everything. And as I keep saying, it's not always easy to approach life from this way, but I really believe it's the most empowered way, because I feel like I have a sense of freedom knowing that I am choosing my life. And most of our choices are coming from a subconscious space. So doing this, by moving through life, recognizing how you are choosing everything, you start to notice more the subconscious choices that you're making. shifting. You start to recognize more the spaces in your life that you don't really like, how you're actually choosing them, how you're actually creating them through your choices, how things are rippling out into where you are now. So I truly believe through the power of choice, that is how we set ourselves free. And the other thing I want to talk about is how these abusive dynamics that we choose to be in tend to be reflections of our inner dynamic. For example, I have continually chosen relationships where there is so much lying, manipulation, betrayal. And with what I just said, I can recognize that these are reflections of the way in which I have had a relationship with myself internally. To really see it as a mirror, I can flip it inward and see, where am I lying to myself? Like, am I being fully honest with myself? Truly, where am I betraying myself? Like the spaces where I'm telling myself one thing and doing another and really not staying strong within my center. And where am I manipulating myself? And honestly, through reflecting on this, I have found many ways that I have done this internally. Like I have certain mental programs that play out, that doubt my intuition, that minimize how I'm feeling, thoughts that shrink me down. Honestly, in these relationships, I can see that in the beginning, there was a part of me that was like, oh, I don't know about this. There was a part of me that threw off alarms. Yeah, I shut it down, I minimized it, I gaslighted it. And this is what I'm talking about. Recognizing that in order for me to be in an abusive dynamic like that, there must be a part of me that is showing up internally in the same way. And that is very trippy to recognize and very hard to hold sometimes. But I truly believe it is also another very, very powerful space where we can make a lot of change internally and really look at ourselves and grow. Because I truly believe if I'm lying to myself internally, I'm deceiving myself, then I show up in a way that is a bit more desperate and I'm more susceptible to people who are showing up with deception. When I lie to myself, I allow other people to lie to me. So when I'm honest with myself, I can sense when someone is lying and I can put boundaries in place and I show up with respect for myself. And I want to take another side step here and acknowledge once again that this is not easy. I know I'm speaking these words and they sound so easy, but it's not always easy. One thing about me is I will never come on here and sell you a quick overnight fix, a heal me pill. I don't believe in that. I truly believe that there is an unraveling to life that we need to respect. And yet the more we deepen our awareness, just bringing awareness into these things, like starting to reflect on these ideas, like questioning, where am I choosing this? How is this mirroring me? Deepening our awareness allows for the shifts to start happening. Let's be honest here, these patterns are deeply ingrained. And most of us are not so in touch with our intuition. We don't even recognize the texture of our intuition. We don't know what it feels like, what it sounds like. It's hard to distinguish that. So it really is a process of reacquainting ourselves with what our intuition feels like, how it shows up, learning discernment internally, which can be mirrored externally. So with what I'm sharing, I just want to say have grace for yourself. Don't expect yourself to be perfect overnight because that just hinders the process. And I've done this too, where it's like, oh, I'm aware of this now, like I want it to be shifted. No, it's about having patience because it's a process of just constantly showing up and attuning and learning. And in a way, this is devotion. We can use the word discipline, which I don't think is necessarily a bad word, but I really like the word devotion even more. And I feel like it is through this constant showing up and learning about your intuition, learning about your patterns. It is a beautiful process of devotion. Like you are constantly showing up and devoting yourself to this. If you want to talk in terms of inner child work, you know, it's like showing up for your younger self, showing up for the version of you that you want to become, showing up for you here now. This is devotion, constantly showing up instead of just swallowing a pill and wanting it to all be fixed. Like if you think about it, life is devotion in motion. Like it really is. Like I believe all of this is God existing. This whole story of life is devotion. This is a bit of a silly example, but just to illustrate it, it's like if God took a pill and then was just fixed, then there would be no life. There would be no in between. So here we are experiencing this. It's devotion. It's this showing up. It's the process. It's the unraveling. Like you don't need it to just be fixed overnight. And another side note, when I say God, I'm not talking about a man in the sky. I perceive God as everything, as the source of it all. And we are like fragments of that source. We are God experiencing itself, you could say. And in order to be God experiencing itself, if we just fixed it all overnight, then there would be no us, there would be no experience. So yes, it is incredibly beautiful for us to orient to our healing, to go down that journey. But I feel like when we chase a quick fix, we're really just robbing ourselves of beautiful opportunities. And honestly, if we really are just looking for a quick fix, that's usually a sense of desperation within us that's wanting that quick fix. But anywho, okay, I'm gonna wrap this video up. Yeah, thank you so much for witnessing and watching this. It really does mean a lot to me for people to be witnessing what I'm sharing and this journey of me taking a step towards unraveling more in the public eye. It's something I feel very shy about, coming on a camera. Yeah, I'm learning and I'm showing up each and every day, and there's no pill that's gonna make me a good public speaker. I just need to keep on doing it, and one day I know I'll look back on these videos and on this chapter of my life. I'm getting emotional thinking about it because I can feel it. Like, I can feel a future version of me looking at this and being like, wow, thank you for showing up for me. And that is the trippy part of life, is really doing that. Like, showing up for the future version of yourself, showing up for the past version. It's like holding all of it right here. I feel it right here, right now. And I'm grateful for me right now for showing up. So thank you for witnessing. I'm getting emotional as I do because we're beings that feel things. And it's a beautiful part of life. So yeah, a little self plug. If you want to subscribe, I'd really appreciate it. I'll be making many more videos like this and vlogs of me adventuring and creative little art projects. So yeah, stay tuned, and I wish you a beautiful day, beautiful night, beautiful life, beautiful reflections. Enjoy. Till next time.